Have you ever just looked around and wondered, why do some people seem to rise from absolutely nothing, while others, people who honestly might even have way more raw talent or higher IQs, just stay totally stuck in the exact same place for years? It's a pretty fascinating phenomenon, right? Now, you might immediately assume, oh, it's just luck. Maybe they had some special connections or they just happened to hit perfect timing. Well, we're going to challenge that assumption today. Because as psychology shows us, exceptional achievement is rarely just a random event. Instead, it's actually the result of very specific mental patterns and habits that, well, most people just completely overlook. So I want to pose this central mystery directly to you right now. Why do some people rise from nothing while others stay stuck? This right here is the core paradigm shift we're exploring in today's explainer. You see, success is actually a deeply ingrained psychological pattern. It is not some random roll of the dice. It's really all about how your brain is specifically wired to respond to the world around you. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the exact roadmap of the 5 foundational blueprints we'll construct in this explainer. First, the success illusion. Second, delaying instant gratification. Third, taking absolute ownership. Fourth, action and mental models. Fifth, building emotional resilience. And finally, number 6, changing your trajectory. All right, section 1, the success illusion, luck versus psychology. The truth is, success is built on foundations laid long before any results actually become visible to the outside world. If you look closely at really high achievers, the people who eventually reach their absolute highest potential, you'll see they all share these 5 hidden habits. These habits basically act as the invisible scaffolding for their growth. Let's unpack what those specific habits actually are. Moving right along to section 2, delaying instant gratification and prioritizing future freedom. Look, most of us are biologically wired to seek immediate rewards. It's just how we're built. We're constantly chasing dopamine, whether that's, endlessly scrolling on our phones for a quick hit of entertainment, or instantly spending money just to feel a fleeting sense of happiness right in the moment. But a highly successful mind, it operates completely differently. These folks are totally comfortable sacrificing that short-term comfort for the ultimate long-term outcome. They actively train their brains to actually tolerate boredom and repetition. They push through the totally mundane parts of the process, simply because they value their future freedom way more than the instant gratification of today. And this brilliantly illustrates section 3, taking absolute ownership and refusing to shift blame. So, on one side, we have what psychology often calls the man-child archetype. This is the classic unsuccessful mind. When life gets hard, this mindset instantly looks for an external excuse. It's bad luck, it's a terrible boss, or, it's the economy's fault. It's basically a complete and utter avoidance of responsibility. But then on the flip side is true adulthood and internal ownership. People destined for real success absolutely refuse to shift the blame. They understand that growth literally only begins when you take absolute ownership of your situation. Psychologically speaking, accepting responsibility forces you to confront some really uncomfortable truths. And yeah, it's definitely not easy, but it is literally the only way to improve your judgment and make sharper decisions down the road. Okay, section 4. Action and mental models, from observation to execution. I absolutely love this quote. The brain learns best by doing, not just watching. I mean, so many people fall into the trap of dreaming big, but then doing absolutely nothing. They get totally trapped in their own mental world. You know the type. They research, they strategize, they plan, basically tricking themselves into thinking they're making real progress. But successful people, they commit to external movement. They prioritize doing at least one physical action toward their goal every single day, no matter how remarkably small it might be. The learning cycle starts with observation, sure, but it immediately moves into physical practice. And that inevitably leads to making mistakes, and finally correcting those mistakes. Really fast learners completely embrace this entire cycle. They actually embrace being confused. They are totally willing to be wrong or a bit messy right out of the gate, because they fundamentally understand a huge secret. The brain learns far more from correcting mistakes than from flawlessly avoiding them.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the concept of context building. Highly successful people don't just blindly react to incoming data or try to memorize some list of facts. Instead, they focus intensely on the why. They want to deeply understand how different pieces of information connect so they can build a comprehensive world picture of their industry or their specific skill. It's like a giant puzzle. They are trying to see the entire chessboard, not just the single piece sitting right in front of them.
And they achieve that big picture view through associative learning, which basically means connecting new ideas to things they already deeply understand. Now, why does this matter so much? Because this interpretive layer stops their behavior from being robotic or mechanical. By linking concepts together, these individuals can recognize patterns dramatically faster than their peers, and that allows them to act and pivot way before a major shift in the market or their environment becomes obvious to everyone else. It's a real game changer.
Moving on to Section 5, Building Emotional Resilience, Tolerance for Uncertainty and Failure. Let's take a second to talk about late success. Honestly, a lot of people just throw in the towel after 2 or 3 major failures. It just hurts too much, right? The emotional cost feels too high. However, true durable success, especially what we categorize as late success, relies heavily on your ability to survive immense, continuous challenges without ever losing focus on your ultimate end goal. A truly resilient mindset operates completely differently day to day. First off, they consciously stop comparing their path to everyone else's, which, let's face it, is a massive drain on your energy. Instead, they focus purely on what they can improve next. They are quietly, diligently building a super strong behind-the-scenes foundation. And crucially, while they definitely still feel fear and frustration, because they're human after all, they do not let those temporary emotions interrupt their long-term goals. Because they stick to this framework, this invisible foundation eventually breaks the surface, creating what the rest of the world incorrectly labels an overnight success. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 6, Changing Your Trajectory, Applying the Psychological Blueprints. So the crucial point is this. Reaching your absolute highest potential really isn't about having a higher IQ, and it is certainly not about having the best luck. It is entirely about shifting your daily habits. To actually shift your trajectory, you have got to stop avoiding discomfort. You have to start focusing heavily on absolute ownership, and you must pursue deep contextual understanding over just simple memorization. Once you understand these small patterns that shape the mind, you really begin to see the hidden levers of success that most people just completely ignore. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative question to think about today. Are you letting temporary comfort dictate your long-term trajectory? Really take a moment and be honest with yourself about where you might be choosing instant gratification over your own future freedom. If you enjoy learning the hidden psychology behind success and human behavior, and you want to keep building these mental models with us, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be uncovering even more hidden psychological patterns in future explainers. Thanks so much for focused learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.